Hi, Freeman. Thank you for describing your intent here. This all makes really good sense. Target audience, especially. So, guys, those of you who are watching along, what Freeman is saying here is that he's kind of directed his communicative style to a younger audience. Therefore, we're not shooting for this kind of photorealism. It's a really, really interesting and valid point, Freeman. Thanks for sharing that. That's directly tying your intent and your visual approach with the target audience, and that is just exactly how it's done. So good job. Um, let's go ahead and take a look. I've got the poster up right here. I think it's a really great start, and I love the style. I love the fact that the style is really super consistent throughout. That's strong. I think it's a really strong piece. One of the most interesting things about this piece here is the fact that you're using overlapping to create a sense of depth in an otherwise two-dimensional composition, and that's powerful stuff. Um, so this is good. This is really good. The style itself, I think, is also very interesting. A couple of areas I think that can be further developed, even though you're shooting for kind of a younger crowd and a minimal style, avoiding photorealism and shooting for this kind of illustrative technique. There's still some areas I think that can be improved. Let me describe this to you, and I think you'll agree. Um, Okay, so right now the grapes are a little bit lacking in contrast. I think the grapes are done very well. Well, first of all, let me say that all of the objects are recognizable as an object, and I think that's really fantastic. So we have carrot, grapes, watermelon, orange, banana, apple, broccoli, potato. Excellent, right? Um, but there are some areas that are lacking consistency with other areas in the piece. So, in other words, the approach, the conceptual approach, the style is consistent. However, there are some inconsistencies within the piece. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, so some areas are really super well developed. Like this shadow right here looks great, right? But the grapes over here, this is what I started to say before about the grapes. The grapes are lacking contrast because the shadow area isn't dark enough. And that's gorgeous. Look how compelling that is. That's just gorgeous right there because you're clearly indicating a shadow. There's some other areas that we have shadows, but there are some fruits and vegetables that don't have shadows. So there's a little inconsistency there. Um, there's a shadow area on the potato, but I don't think that's dark enough. The banana shadow just bends right there. That's really, really uncomfortable. It creates a really uncomfortable visual tension. Shouldn't that shadow follow that curve right there? Definitely. It shouldn't have that bend right there. And then I think that this can be just adjusted a little bit further. It just seems like this is kind of a rushed shadow. This is beautiful right here. This is pretty good right here, but I think I would even out those edges a little bit. So it's just try to maintain consistency with the beautiful organic lines created there. These scribbles for the highlight area in the banana, and I think it's interesting that you use highlights in the banana, but we don't see highlights anywhere else. So a little bit of inconsistency there. Um, there's a highlight right here, but would that highlight fall in that area? If presumably this is being lit, if we follow the shadows from the banana, apple, and grapes, the light source is up here, right? And then it would be a consistent shadow here and light source here. But this is a highlight right here in the orange, right? And the highlight resides on the bottom of the orange. So therefore, it's not consistent with the light source, okay? This area right here, that little, where that end of the orange, what do they call that? The navel, I think. That looks like it's just really rushed. It's a little sloppy. I would definitely adjust that area. Also, the foliage, the greens at the top of the carrot, I think could be adjusted as well. The only other area I think that I would call for improvement is the end of the watermelon. And also these kind of interior lines, the green lines in the watermelon are really organic. They look great, but these other light lines seem to get a little bit out of control. Wouldn't they be a little bit more controlled? Wouldn't they follow the contour of the watermelon a little bit more evenly than kind of like this kind of wavy lines, I would think. And also at the end of the watermelon, this area right here is actually becoming the focal point, and I don't think you want that to be your focal point. The focal point should be shared among this composition. The reason we're looking right here is because of this big light space right here and these unidentified objects, okay? And I'm referring to the end of the watermelon. I think that if you bring the skin all the way to the end and then kind of create the end of the watermelon, instead of having it come almost a third of the way through the watermelon, I think that would be much, much more recognizable. So this big green area, this big white area, this big light green area, to me are really, really confusing. Other than that, I think you make those minor adjustments and this piece is going to be actually very beautiful. My only other recommendation has to do with your typography. Right now, I think good food and good body is really interesting. You can, I don't know if you have or not, but if this is the red, sample the red right out of the apple. Sample the orange right out of the carrot, the orange. Sample the body color right out of the grape, and good right out of the watermelon or broccoli, right? And it looks like you've done that, so you've got some really nice harmony here. The problem I'm having with your typography is the fact that you're mixing two decorative typefaces. You don't want to do that. One decorative typeface. I would take equals right here, and I would just use that to create a little emphasis. So good food equals good body. And we can do that by using a simple, try a sans serif typeface, try something. Take a look at the list of required typefaces for the class. Pick a sans serif and set it. Just set it default and use one of the colors out of this composition to set equals and try it. I think it's really going to pull harmony together. All right, so I know I throw a lot at you. It's a great start, and I think that it's got a wonderful potential. Freeman, thank you very much. If you have any questions at all, please let me know. Thank you.